Chair, thank you for holding this hearing. Thank you, witnesses, for being here and sharing with us your incredibly challenging stories. Quote, the justice system's not cooperating. This is a quote from one of the retailers here in your town. The justice system is just not cooperating. It's getting to a point where you either have to padlock every item that has to be stolen or could be stolen, or you have to fight back. And if you fight back, you take the risk of going to jail for protecting your property. That's one of the reasons we're here. Here's several more, because I've heard a lot of suggestions that we're here for reasons having nothing to do with why I'm here. This has 8.5 million people. That's just twice what my state has. It has 58 million people within 250 miles. It is 4 million larger than our next largest city, which would be LA. It has a GDP of $1.56 trillion. This is an asset we should be doing everything to protect, and particularly the people within it. Mr. Holden, drawing your attention to the next to last paragraph in your testimony, it appears that you believe that we in Congress can actually do something. You actually talk about what we might do. And so I would like you just to elaborate just a bit so that people aren't thinking that we're just here for show. We can actually do something. Can you go to that next to last paragraph and share your thoughts?
Yes. When the public is not being protected, when we fear for our safety day in and day out, we lose our freedom. And if Congress can't do something, then I don't think anyone can. You can do this with funding. You can do this with certainly federal attorneys jumping in, prosecutors. There's a lot of things I think Congress can do. I'm here because, and as a Democrat, I don't agree with a lot of my party's stances on things, but and I'm more of an independent person. But I've been on 6 years in the city council, and they've never held a hearing on victims' rights. They hold hearings on criminal rights and how they're not being treated properly. And I get that. That's important to have. But what about victims' rights? 6 years on the city council, on the public safety committee, not one hearing.
Mr. Hull, I'm going to interrupt if I may. I'm going to stick with you, though, because you also say in your letter, and this is in response to Ranking Member Nadler's questions about percentages in crime reduction, but you note in your testimony about cherry picking of statistics. So I want you to talk about that for just a second. You note that that it's easy to twist these numbers around, and I'm kind of reminded about something that was said a little earlier, that it's easy to focus on percentages, but we should be focusing on the real numbers, as Mr. Tiffany pointed out, the thousands when we talk about percentages as though it's meaningless. Tell me what you say in your letter.
That's a real thing, because I have businesses, and I have one individual owns 4 gas stations in my district, and he's from Southeast Asia. He's an immigrant. He is living the American dream until recently, until 2019, when the bail reform package went through the state. He says, a good day for me and my 4 gas stations when I'm not held up. We consider it a good day. He's losing $2,000 or $3,000 a day in the 4 gas stations with petty theft and being held up. It's a serious issue. And we fought to get crime. We had 17 straight years in New York City of crime reduction up until 2019, when they pushed the bail reform and discovery through the state. And now crime is going up. And again, 13 years we've had an increase in crime. So anybody cherry picking those numbers, and anybody who's a real New Yorker knows that we had low crime, and we were proud of that. We were the safest city in the United States, not anymore.
Thank you. We're just a few seconds left, and I just want to say that I'm happy we're here in New York. But for those of you who want to see the consequences of lax prosecution practices, come to Portland, Oregon, and look at what's happened to that beautiful city where I went to law school years ago, and you can wander around in downtown Portland without fear of anything happening. The restaurants were great. The cultural scene was great. In the last 3 years, that has changed so dramatically. It is ridiculous. And if you want to see what happens when you don't prosecute people for throwing bricks through windows, starting fires in downtown, running everybody else out, come to Portland. It's so incredibly sad. But I'm going to come back to New York for a moment. My last little phrase here is, despite what you folks are enduring here as a result of runaway progressivism, you still have these wonderful people, the police, working for you, and I'm happy for that. But I tell you, as I sit here and listen to Democrat politicians use rampant crime and violence to justify more restrictions on possession of firearms, I must say, please, let's turn our attention to the good things we can do in Congress. And with that, I thank you all and yield back.